be it.
Here's our monster starting grid across the top of your screen. The main event from Salt Lake City, the penultimate round underway. Chad Reed gets a very good start, but he won't get the whole shot. Yes, he will. He cuts back to the inside. Reed gets the whole shot. Stewart back in about 5th position. Reed needs to break away now.
And Millsap, who has been so fast tonight, he starts second. And then Stewart comes around the outside.
Here comes Stewart. He's going to move himself into second. So the championship race is on. The Rockstar Makita Suzuki and Chad Reed in the early lead. The San Manuel Yamaha, James Stewart in second. And look at Stewart just blitz across the whoops.
And this is the opportunity for Chad Reed to go out and win a main event, which he so desperately needs, over James Stewart. This is it. This is the defining moment of the championship. Reed takes a look back, realizes number 7 is there. The race is on.
Over the finish line jump. Reed setting himself up as they shoot across the start line.
And remember, so many of these turns, Ralph, like right here, look how you leave the inside wide open. Stewart will have the advantage of being able to see that as Reed rides the fast line.
Jeff, 2 weeks ago in Jacksonville, Florida, it was this very same scenario. These two riders had words to repractice, had a very aggressive race when they battled back and forth in the main event, and the words continued after up on the podium. They ran 1 and 2 just like this for many, many laps. It looks like we're setting up the same scenario here tonight.
And James Stewart has got a different sequence. He's got a double, triple, double. That's a little bit quicker than Reed going a single, double, triple, single. That could be the spot at the end of the stadium. And watch this fast line. Inside is wide open right here. You see Stewart square down. He has the advantage there. See just how slippery some of those spots are.
Jeff, it is also a very cool night here. The temperature down into the 40s. One of the coolest nights we've seen on the season so far. The Suzuki of Chad Reed running the fuel injection. The Yamaha is a carbureted model. How different will that affect this outcome for these two riders?
Well, I talked to a few of the mechanics earlier, and I think with the fuel-injected bikes, they would get to their good setting much quicker. The race teams that have the carbureted bikes, there's no doubt in my mind that they've got there, and this bike is finely tuned. But it might have just taken a little more work to get there. Performance-wise, I think at this point, both bikes are running excellent.
Do these conditions on the track surface give an advantage to either one of these two riders? You've ridden with both. Here's Mike Cussler cheering on his man, Chad Reed.
Well, I think the experience now is Chad Reed. Can he rebound from that horrible race last week? Also the race in Jacksonville where he led most of the main event, only to have James Stewart battle with him, pass him, and take the win. This is a defining moment for Chad Reed. I've said all along that I believe that he has to beat James Stewart straight up to win the championship. He had an opportunity at Jacksonville. He failed. But did he learn something? Did that motivate him? Can he apply that to the main event here tonight?
Well, Reed has won 3 races this year, Indianapolis, Daytona, and St. Louis, but Stewart had problems in all 3 of those rounds, and that's what opened the door for Reed to take the win. In a heads-up battle with Stewart having no issues, Reed has not been the victor yet this season, and now Stewart's starting to apply some pressure.
Well, Stewart completed that rhythm section at the end, made a mistake, and still closed it up. You really feel that James Stewart now starting to drop the hammer. He's seen the lines on the track. I can see it from the broadcast booth here that the spot after the finish line, that right-hand turn onto the start straight, is the perfect position, perfect spot for Stewart to make an attempt at the lead.
Last week, Reed crashed in the first corner, battled back to finish 7th in Seattle. Stewart fought his way up to 2nd while Villopoto took the win. And look at this. Here comes Stewart to the inside. He's going to make that move. He changes his line to the rhythm section, and Stewart takes the lead away from Reed. But Reed comes battling back. Ball to bar, through another rhythm section. Reed to the inside, stands him up, and takes the lead away.
Watch this inside. Stewart gets back in line. We are being treated to another phenomenal main event in AMA Supercross.
It is a chess match played out by 2 former champions on these high-horsepowered machines.
And as we saw in Jacksonville, this type of racing, they played it pretty clean. After that, there were tons of words spoken. I don't look for it to be clean. It's going to get nasty here in Salt Lake.
Well, So who's going to have the advantage going into there? A stadium where the surface tends to be slippery. So these guys want to have as many points in their favor going there if they can.
Chad Reed picks up on the rhythm section. Double, triple, double. That's going to take one of Reed's passing spots.
Well, did Stewart maybe play the card too soon? Now Reed knows the line.
Watch the inside right here. Nope, not yet.
He's going to have to save one ball play.
That is going to be a very hard corner for Chad Reed to protect if he is in the lead. But look at James Stewart, such a predator. He just thrives on this type of action. When his heart rate gets up,
Here he
to
comes.
the inside.
Lights it through the loops. Stewart was there, but Reed just beat him by half a bike length to shut the door. You know, I talked to James earlier today, Jeff. He did his second to chase Villanova down like we've seen him do in the past. And I asked him, did you really settle for second? He said, you know, people don't really realize that I run so hard. I want to win every time. He said, that was okay. I'm ready to go. They think that sometimes I push too hard. They just don't realize how fast I truly do ride because he believes he's so much faster than everybody else. But he also told me today, Jeff, that he feels Chad Reed is quite possibly the toughest man he's ever had a battle for a championship.
There's no doubt about it here. Once again, we see two of the sport's greatest champions putting on it.
Here he comes
to the inside.
Into the woods, and again Reed beats him to the other end, barely.
Wow, this is gonna. It is so comforting to be in the second position here, Ralph, because you get to see the lines, you get to try different sections. Of course, you don't have to lead, but look at Stewart to the inside.
But Jeff, I got to tell you, Stewart has always been one of the best riders in the sport through the whoops, and Reed keeps beating him through the whoops tonight.
Stewart can fly across the top of those whoops. I'm telling you, look how close he is.
Here he comes.
Look into
the inside. Nothing doing.
Here he goes. Inside.
To the inside. Stewart is there. And Reed has to take second. And the crowd cheers as they swap the lead once again. Reed back to the inside. Oh, contact. And Stewart's into the top block. Oh, it's starting to heat up now.
What an aggressive move by Chad Reed. Stewart made the pass. Chad sees the door wide open. Reed jumps to the inside, makes a good aggressive move there. Stewart masterfully keeps it on two wheels, but that is going to fire up James Stewart. You know this race is not over. He is not going to give up.
Jeff, you told me just before they dropped the gate that you said I really need to see a spark in Chad Reed's eyes. You seen it now?
I have definitely seen a spark in Chad Reed. He is really playing this out. He is not giving up.
Watch how these two battle as we go back and take a look at the replay.
Watch here, Stewart gets the inside, and watch, he's down on some tacky dirt right there, and he sees this wide open. Look how he scrubs that finish line and really made up the ground there. Reed comes back. This is out of the first turn. Watch this. Fast line outside. Reed just gets in there and hammers the throttle. And look at Stewart, how he hits the top line with his front wheel and gets it back in.
Well, they made contact in that corner, too, and that shoved James up there. A slower rider right in the way. And Reed, Jeff, is starting to open up a gap. And look at this. The points would be tied as of now because the difference between first and second is 3, and that's the gap as they came into tonight.
Would you expect anything less from these champions?
No.
No. The work that goes into this, the dedication, what is on the line for both of these riders. Okay, this is the pinnacle of our sport. Okay, lots of money, lots of pride, all that hard work. These riders are really putting on a great race here in Salt Lake.
And Jeff, both of these riders are Hall of Fame caliber riders without question. It's just a matter of what your stats are going to be when you get there. And Reed and Stewart are looking to add another championship to their total. Mike Gossler, he doesn't know what to do. He's hoping his man Reed can win tonight. Back to an action-packed Rice-Eccles Stadium here in Salt Lake. Ralph Shaheen, Jeff Emig, and Aaron Bates with you as the crowd is on their feet watching Chad Reed and James Stewart battling out in the penultimate round of the Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship.
Halfway through the main event, it seems like they've already been out there for 50 laps. We still have half the race to go. 9 laps. this is where Chad Reed gets a little breather. This is where James Stewart sets back for a second, gets his heart rate down, regroups, makes another run at the reigning champion to try to steal that #1 plate away from Chad Reed.
And Jeff, one thing they're seeing a lot of is that yellow flags and blue flags. That means they're getting into traffic, they're getting into situations where riders have crashed, and they have to hope that those in front of them that they're getting ready to pass know that the fast guys are coming through. And in talking to James Stewart's dad, Big James, he says sometimes one of the problems is that the slower riders are not used to the closing speeds of riders like James Stewart and Chad Reed because they're so much faster.
There's no doubt about that, and they're working their way up to Mladinovich. He's running 16th. You see, he pulls out of the way there.
Watch James Stewart dealing with traffic.
Pretty tight shot here, and he gets in, and that's, well, he
Tough
twists
block,
that
and he kicked in the way.
Looks like that was one of the Hart and Huntington riders. But look at this, James Stewart, once again, the Predator on the prowl here. He has reeled in Chad Reed.
He's right there.
And there's certain things that James does on the track, certain areas where he just carries so much momentum.
Here he
Right
comes,
to Whoops.
into the whoops, and Reed sees him spin to the inside. Stewart back out front with 8 to go. Now can Reed challenge back?
See them riders, they missed that. That's a double triple. They're having trouble getting over the middle triple there. Let's see if Chad Reed has anything left here because James Stewart has a chance to regroup, and he has really got some great lines.
You see how low James Stewart comes over that finish line jump as Oscar Bergman cheers on his rider, doing what he's been known and called the Bubba Scrub. Staying low, flying forward, staying closer to the ground. It's a quicker line, and it works.
Well, in this championship, it really comes down to this. Chad Reed has to win here tonight in Salt Lake. That would tie up the points going into the final race for James Stewart. If he walks away from this with the win, and Reed is second, that's going to be a 6-point margin.
It's not enough to clinch it tonight, but it certainly would put a big hurt on the championship hopes of Chad Reed. Now, there's a lot of black riders in here, and it could hurt both of these riders.
Look at Stewart just really whipping it over the triple. This is Foss gets in there, and he almost gets into the top side there, and that's allowed Chad Reed to close right up again. Is this the last, gasp here that Chad Reed? This gives him the opportunity to look at Stewart's line, to see his body language on the bike, and gain some confidence by his own fast laps.
Their lap time's just a 1/10 of a second apart. Oh, that makes a huge mistake, and Reed almost capitalized. He had to get on the brakes to keep from running into him.
And that's Stewart's teammate, Kyle Chisholm.
And Chisholm almost gets into Reed, and instead he goes down.
Wow, Kyle Chisholm on the Sandler Yamaha. That looked pretty aggressive from this seat.
It looked awful aggressive for a rider who was being lapped. Trying to help out a teammate.
An old friend.
Is that the way you see it?
Well, bottom line is that Reed lost quite a bit of time right there.
Huge amount of time.
That's
Try 1.7 seconds.
Watch Chisholm steps off and just comes. He almost gets into his teammate. Has to really get on the binders to keep from knocking Reed completely off the track.
Jeff, whether or not he was trying to get into Reed isn't even the point. At this stage of the game, with the 2 leaders by like that, there's no business going that hard into that corner with the 2 leaders in front of you.
One would think. Well, it certainly has given Stewart a comfort zone here, and this could be...
That could be the championship.
That totally could be the championship. Now they're coming past Chisholm one more time.
Boy, to see the championship come down to a moment like that, that would be incredibly devastating. And not the way I think James Stewart would want to win it either.
Reed just looked over at Chisholm, shook his head, a little attitude there.
Can't blame it. Cannot blame it.
Oh boy, that really has mellowed out this main event. We'll see with 4 laps to go. There's the difference. 2.5 seconds between Stewart and Reed. Can Reed regroup here? Little less than 4 laps to go and let it all hang out because he needs to win this main event.
Now,
If not, he's going to have to hope for the best.
Did you see the difference there, Jeff? That rider was getting lapped, waited, saw both riders go by, knew the championship was coming through, and then returned to the racetrack.
Well, what a fine ride right now.
That was Kyle Partridge.
Fine ride by Stewart. He has once again came through the pack, proven to everyone here in Salt Lake that he is the fastest rider in AMA Supercross this year.
Yes, he is. But Jeff, tonight we saw a different Chad Reed, an aggressive Chad Reed. One of the best rides we've seen out of him all year. And incredible. And I just hate to see him lose his shot at Stewart here tonight based on a moment like that. Because, again, I don't think even James Stewart would want to see this championship, the way it's gone all year, come down to a moment like that.
Little less than 3 laps to go. Stewart actually picked up 0.4 of a second on Chad Reed. That last lap, the lead is almost 9 seconds.
Aaron, an amazing night here tonight.
It most definitely is, guys. While tempers are flaring between Chad Reed and James Stewart, James Stewart's teammate Kyle Chisholm just got pulled off the racetrack. He's over in mechanics area right now by John Gallagher with the FIM. He's obviously pretty upset. He's driving back to the pits, but something tells me he knows exactly what he got in trouble for.
John Gallagher is the official for the FIM, one of the ruling bodies of the Supercross series, the AMA and the FIM.
Well, and it's very uncharacteristic of Kyle Chisholm to do something like that. He's a pretty mellow, has a pretty mellow demeanor, very nice young man. Could be just a mistake he made trying to go on off that tabletop with too much momentum, because as we've seen, he almost got into the back wheel of his own teammate, ended up just between our two leaders, but that certainly has played a part in the outcome of this main event.
You're right on both counts.
Well,
James Stewart, on his way, and he can hang on to racking up another win. This would be main event win number 11.
And no rider has ever won more than 10 races and not won the championship.
And he'd have to get through Las Vegas. Next week, Sam Boyd Stadium. He might become a two-time champion. Oscar cheering him on with 1 to go. Buddy, bring it home.
How about this ride here by James Stewart? Take a look at the points here around 6. That is not what Chad Reed wanted coming or leaving Salt Lake. He wanted that number to be 0.
Yeah, and he was giving it a run tonight for sure. But Stewart, you know, you got to give him all the credit in the world, Jeff. And he got not a great start when Reed gets out to the front with the whole shot. But he battled back. He was patient. He marched to the front. When he got there, he challenged Reed, took the lead, lost it, waited, patiently regrouped, and then set his sights on him, lined him up, and went after him again. And James Stewart,
here we go. James Stewart takes a look over his shoulder, and he is going to be the main event winner in Salt Lake.
James Stewart wins it, lights the candles in Salt Lake City, and extends his points lead to 6, headed to the final round. And Chad Reed has to finish a frustrating second and sees 3 more points slip away to his title rival.